Have you ever wondered what it would be like to sit in the hot seat of an interrogation room? Imagine the scenario. The room is cold, the lights are harsh, and your heart pounds in your chest like a drum. You're not just here for a friendly chat. This is an interrogation, and it's a situation that can quickly turn dangerous. Interrogations, they're the stuff of crime dramas and mystery novels, but they're also a very real part of our justice system. They're the process by which investigators gather information, seek confessions, and build their cases. The stakes in these situations can be incredibly high. Your words, your reactions, even your silence can all be interpreted in ways that could either help you or, more alarmingly, incriminate you. There's a distinct power dynamic at play in an interrogation room. It's a dance of sorts, a back and forth between investigator and suspect. On one side, you have the investigator trained to observe, to question, and to probe. They're looking for inconsistencies, for slips of the tongue, for any hint of guilt. They're armed with experience, with knowledge of the law, and often with preconceived notions about you and your supposed guilt. On the other side, there's you, the person in the hot seat. You're likely anxious, frightened, and unsure of what's to come. You're at a disadvantage, and that's exactly how the system is designed to work. But it's not all doom and gloom. Being aware of the situation, understanding the dynamics at play, and knowing your rights can go a long way in helping you navigate this precarious situation. Remember, an interrogation is a tool, a method of gathering information. It's not a trial, it's not a verdict. It's a process, and like any process, it can be managed, it can be navigated. Navigating an interrogation can be a minefield, and one wrong step could have serious consequences. Stay with us as we delve deeper into this topic and explore the most dangerous questions an investigator can ask, how to behave during an interrogation, and what answers could potentially land you in jail. Let's dive into a real-life case where a wrong answer made all the difference. Consider the case of John Doe, a man who found himself in an interrogation room facing a barrage of questions from an experienced investigator. John was suspected of a crime he didn't commit. He was anxious and scared, and in one crucial moment, he gave a wrong answer that turned the tide against him. The investigator asked, "Where were you on the night of July 15th?" John, flustered by the intensity of the situation, replied, "I was at home alone." But he was mistaken. In reality, he had been at a friend's party that night. This simple mistake, this wrong answer, was seen as a lie. It cast a shadow of doubt over John's entire narrative, making his other statements seem less credible. His defense was weakened, and his claim of innocence was undermined. In the face of an interrogation, it's important to understand the gravity of each question and the potential implications of every answer. It's not just about telling the truth, but about being precise with it. An incorrect response, even if unintentional, can be perceived as a deliberate attempt to mislead. It can push the scales of justice towards a conviction, even if you're innocent. John's case is a stark reminder of this. His wrong answer, born out of stress and confusion, was a key factor in his conviction. It's a cautionary tale for anyone who finds themselves in a similar situation. Remember, in an interrogation, every word counts. Every answer you give is scrutinized. And a wrong answer, even if simply a mistake, can be seen as an attempt to deceive. It's a high-stakes game where the price of a wrong answer is your freedom. This isn't to scare you, but to make you aware. Awareness is the first step to preparation, and preparation can be the difference between walking free or being convicted. As you can see, a single wrong answer can change the course of your life. Interrogators have a toolbox full of tricks designed to trap you into a confession. Like craftsmen honing their skills, interrogators have accumulated a range of tactics over the years to get the information they need. One of the most commonly used techniques is the read technique. This approach is a psychological game of cat and mouse where investigators try to break down a suspect's defenses, leading them to self-incriminate. The read technique is a three-phase process. The first phase is the behavioral analysis interview, where the investigator looks for signs of deception in the suspect's verbal and nonverbal responses. If deception is detected, the investigator moves to the second phase, the guilt complex interview. Here, the interrogator presents a moral argument to the suspect, suggesting that any person in their situation would have acted similarly. This is a psychological ploy to make the suspect feel that their actions were justified, thereby lowering their guard. The final phase is the interrogation. This is where the pressure intensifies. The investigator presents evidence, real or fabricated, and uses persuasive tactics to convince the suspect that denial is futile. This intense pressure can lead a person to confess even if they are innocent. This technique, while highly effective, has been criticized for its potential to produce false confessions. It's a psychological pressure cooker that can break the resolve of even the most steadfast individuals. The suspect might confess just to end the interrogation, not because they are guilty. Other tactics include the good cop, bad cop routine, where one investigator appears sympathetic to the suspect's situation, while the other adopts a more aggressive stance, creating a confusing and stressful dynamic that can lead to a confession. Then, there's the inherent pressure tactic, where the investigator makes the suspect feel that the evidence against them is so overwhelming that confession is their only option. These tactics can be frighteningly effective, and it's essential to be aware of them. Remember, the goal of an interrogation is to get a confession, not necessarily to uncover the truth. Being aware of these tactics is the first step to protecting yourself. Now let's look at a case where understanding these tactics led to a different outcome. This is the story of a man we'll call John. John found himself in an interrogation room, suspected of a crime he didn't commit. The pressure was intense, but John kept his cool. He understood the importance of staying calm and collected under duress. John knew that investigators often employ tactics designed to rattle a suspect, to make them slip up and say something incriminating, but he didn't let the pressure get to him. He reminded himself that he was innocent, and that the truth was on his side. He didn't allow the fear of the situation to control him. Instead, he controlled his fear. One of the tactics used by the investigators was the good cop, bad cop routine. This is a common technique designed to make the suspect feel more at ease with the good cop, and thus more likely to divulge information. But John knew this was a ruse. He treated both officers with the same level of respect and caution, careful not to let his guard down. John also understood the importance of thinking before answering. He didn't rush to respond to the questions thrown at him. He took his time, carefully considering his words before he spoke. He knew that every word could be used against him, so he made sure his responses were truthful and concise. But perhaps most importantly, John knew his rights. He knew that he didn't have to answer any questions without a lawyer present. He understood that he was entitled to legal representation, and that he could remain silent if he chose to. This knowledge gave him the confidence to navigate the interrogation without feeling pressured into saying something he might regret. John's story is not unique. Many people find themselves in similar situations, faced with the daunting prospect of an interrogation. But as John's case shows, understanding the tactics used by investigators and knowing your rights can make a significant difference in the outcome. This case demonstrates that knowledge is power when it comes to interrogation. So remember, stay calm, think before you speak, and know your rights. Your freedom may depend on it. So, what are the most dangerous questions an investigator can ask, and how should you respond? This is where we've arrived, and it's time to gather our insights. In this journey, we've traversed the intimidating corridors of interrogation rooms. We've faced the chilling wrong answers that can lead to undesired outcomes. We've peered into the manipulative tactics investigators might employ, and we've found the right responses that can help steer the situation in a safe direction. Remember those seemingly innocent questions that are, in fact, traps? Those are the ones you need to watch out for. They might seem unrelated to the matter at hand, but they're designed to trip you up, to catch you in a contradiction, or to elicit an admission of guilt. And how should you respond? The golden rule is, less is more. Keep your answers short, simple, and truthful. Don't volunteer information. Do not attempt to outsmart or lie. It's a risky game that can turn the tide against you. Another crucial point we've discussed is the importance of legal representation. You have the right to an attorney. Remember to use it. Having a legal professional by your side can be the difference between walking free or ending up behind bars. They can guide you, protect your rights, and help you navigate this complex terrain. Don't waive this right, even if you're innocent. It's not about guilt or innocence at this stage, it's about safeguarding your legal rights. And finally, remember that an interrogation is not a casual conversation, it's a strategic game where every word counts. Stay calm, composed, and remember your rights. If you feel overwhelmed or unsure, it's okay to take a step back, to request a break, or to remain silent until your attorney arrives. Remember, an interrogation is a high-stakes game, and your best bet is to know the rules. So, Equip yourself with this knowledge and may it serve you well if you ever find yourself in an interrogation room.